Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. This time it's another one of those chess club analysis kind of things, right? So this is once again our friend Mr. Pani. So um, I'll be black, right? And a chess club member is white. So let's start off the game. Let's get right into it. E4 B6. Now this is what is called the Owens defense. And the goal of black here is to get the bishop out, pawn out, bishop out, and knight out. That's the main goal. And sort of like not create that big of a center, but attack white's center. So let me show you a little bit. D4, bishop B7, knight C3. Now the main move here is bishop D3. The reason why is because after knight c3, e6, bishop d3, now certain people play something like bishop b4. And after something like knight f3, knight f6 happens. And it gets sort of tricky, right, with this, because he's black's threatening to take and take this. So usually what I would suggest after bishop b7 is playing this move, bishop d3. And black might play e6 again, and I'll play knight f3. And after knight f6, you just get your queen out, right? Or you could play e5, could work as well, but I could play queen here. I don't have to involve my knight in a pin anymore. I can put the pawn there, the bishop here, and the knight can come this way, right? So pawn here, bishop there, knight can come this way. That's my preferred setup, but you do you. So in this game, our chess member plays bishop f4. Very interesting move. Maybe going for like knight b5 or just developing normally. That could work as well. So bishop b4 happens, and what I'm threatening here is take, takes, and take. So after a3, the chess club member didn't quite see it. Take, and take the pawn. Knight f3 happens, knight f6, bishop d3, and I decide to go back because I realize that if I trade, right, this whole diagonal is going to be open. So for example, I take here, queen takes here. Now this whole diagonal is going to look a little bit weak, but after, let's say, d5, right, castles, and let's say knight d7, maybe white could play like c4 or like queen b5, queen c6, but I feel like this bishop would best belong here. So as a long-term decision, I decided not to trade. So I played bishop b7, castled, queen e1, and here I thought, should I take this? Is it worth it? Technically it is, because I open up white's king, but at what cost, right? So I sort of weighed it. Do I want to just develop normally with pawn here? Do I want to get my knight out through here? Do I want to maybe knight out queen here, which wouldn't be a great idea? Or do I want to get knight out, pawn up? All of which are good options. I thought d6, get the knight out this way, queen, get the pawn break in. The arrows are a bit hard to follow, but I'll sort of demonstrate it in the game. So I played d6. And I always thought maybe this would be good, maybe this would be bad, but I didn't know, so I didn't do it. So our Chesco member gives us another chance. Still don't do it. Just get my knight out. Rook b1, perfect. Opening up the file, maybe pushing the pawn 2 times, and I play c5. D takes c5. Now, I would advise against this. The reason being that when you capture your opponent's piece, just like I said when it comes to trading a piece, it should benefit you in some way. And by doing this, once you capture this pawn, these 3 clumsy pawns are going to look really bad. So that's why if we did nothing here, right, and after I take, you take, right? Now this guy is going to be freed up. So that's why I would suggest not taking here. But our chess friend took, knight took, h3, e5. I decided, you know what, I want to push for his fork. Bishop g3, our chess club member didn't see it, but you know what, these things are hard to see, so I played e4. Knight d2, I gave our chess club member a chance. I said, you know what, I played a fork. I want you to try to identify the threat and correct it. So I played d5, bishop b5, knight h5. Now, here's what I'm doing. Pushing the pawn up, getting the queen over, starting an attack. Right? So our chess club member plays queen e2, play knight takes, and our chess club member plays queen e3, which was quite surprising to me, but he told me it was a misclick. So that was okay. Knight takes, king takes, f5. Now I'm going for the attack, like I said before. Maybe bringing my queen in, maybe the pawn in as well, but we'll see. Queen d4. And then I thought, you know what? He has rook, knight, bishop. I have rook, knight, bishop. Right? I have an extra rook lying around, so I thought, you know what? Just trade. He took. Rook b3 was another sacrifice. And another sacrifice. Another sacrifice. And I got him here. So, what are the lessons to this game? Well, first of all, I would recommend the bishop d3 setup, right? And now, certain people might think, why not f5, right? After you take, I take. And now, one might think, what's wrong with this, right? Check. Bam. Vulnerable. Only move g6. F takes g6 is played. Then what happens? You don't want to play knight f6 because g7 happens, right? Or you don't want to play this because knight take, pawn takes check, knight takes, and checkmate. You also don't want that to happen. So, bishop g7 happens, and after, let's say, I forgot the move here, but I was pretty sure it's takes, king f8, and something like, I forgot, it was like check, king takes, queen g4, bishop takes, knight c3. I don't know, something like this, but it could have been also knight f3. might have been. I don't know. Knight f6. It gets very complicated here, so don't worry about this line. But I would suggest the bishop d3 setup. And after f5, takes, check. So all this analysis afterwards is pretty deep. If you want to dig in, you can. But sometimes if it's too deep, let the computer help out because you won't be able to learn everything by yourself. So yes, that was the first one. And let's jump to the game. So I guess the first mistake was just not sensing the center pawn. That's okay, it's just a pawn. And this part was played perfectly, except for queen e1. Right, so you always got to be careful as to what this bishop can do. So if I did this, right, this would look really bad. It looks like this guy. Right? These pawns look really bad compared to these pawns. So I could play, for example, knight h5, right? I could bring my queen out this way. So after bishop g3, my knight could come out, and then I could swing it, swing it, swing it, right? That's one idea. I could play d6 and swing it. Also another idea, I could play even f5, f4, which was an interesting idea, but those are all ideas. So always watch out for this bishop takes knight. So I guess the next small mistake, as I pointed out, was taking here. It's sort of like permanently made this structure, not great, but that's how it goes, right? So h3, and then missing the fork was, of course, another one. And other than that, really, it was just I was slowly outplaying, getting my pieces into the game, and hopefully you did learn something from my analysis.